Hey guys, my name is Ryan. I'm a tutor in the Econ Tutoring Center. Today I'm going to go over some macro review problems for using a review exam, talking about some questions of aggregate supply, aggregate demand, monetary policy, and other things like that. Remember that language and notation might vary by professor, so always check to be sure that the language that we're using is the same as your professor's. Okay, so this question is just about, it says a bond buyer is, and so the idea is if you buy a bond, that you are, in the sense if it's a government bond, you're giving the government money in exchange for this bond, which the government will then pay you interest on. So in that sense, a bond buyer is a saver, right? Because you're getting some sort of asset in exchange for giving someone money and a place to store your money. So it's one of these first two, and the idea is that long-term bonds have more risk than short-term bonds, and that's reflected in the fact that long-term bonds typically have higher interest rates than short-term bonds. So if you look at really short-term treasury bonds right now, their interest rate is essentially zero versus a 10-year bond, which has an interest rate closer to like 2%. And that reflects the fact that over a longer time scale, things are more volatile, and so they need to kind of incentivize borrowers to take that asset with a higher interest rate. And so that is answer B. Okay, so this is again just kind of a definition. The source of the supply of loanable funds, that comes from saving, and then demand comes from investment. Right, so if I looked at loanable funds, our supply is the amount of savings in the economy, and our demand is the amount of investment. So if investment went up, it would be saying that people want more loanable funds to be able to use for investment. So that is A. Okay, money is just some way of exchanging something for goods and services, and then if everybody agrees to use that, then we can have something like a currency or money. And so economists just call in general money as anything that you can use to buy goods or services, so C. Okay, dollar bills, rare paintings, and emerald necklaces are all, so they're not media of exchange. You don't go show up at the grocery store and exchange paintings. They're not units of account because you don't say, oh, I have 6 rare paintings, that's equivalent to, some amount of food or something like that, right? But they are stores of value because, you know that this value can inflate or deflate over time, but the idea is that it does just store, it's just an asset that stores some value, and similar reasoning goes for necklaces and rare paintings. So these things are all stores of value. Okay, so an open market purchase. So if the Federal Open Market Committee, let's say, goes to the market and purchases bonds, then what they're doing is they're buying bonds in exchange, giving people money. So that's going to increase the number of dollars in the economy, and it's going to decrease the number of bonds in the hands of the public, right? Because I'm taking bonds in from them, increasing my reserves, in exchange giving them dollars, which is increasing the number of dollars in the hands of the public. So that's B. Okay, so the Federal Reserve is primarily, they have a dual mandate of controlling inflation, ensuring a stable unemployment, right? So that's typically what the Federal Reserve's job is. And they also play a role in regulating banks and monitoring required reserve ratios for banks and things like that. So regulating, just in general, other banks. So that first thing I mentioned about inflation and unemployment is monetary policy, and the latter is regulating banks. So the answer is A. Okay, so the classical dichotomy refers to the idea that the supply of money, all the supply of money does in the long run eventually is determine nominal variables, not real variables, but there's no actual change into the state of the economy. Maybe a way to illustrate this is with our typical kind of short run aggregate supply, aggregate demand, and long run aggregate supply curve. Right, so where this is your kind of expected output or potential output, right? So in the short run, if we have, say, an increase in aggregate demand, from some monetary policy or something, we can move to this higher level of output in the short run, but eventually wages will adjust and things like that, so that we can move back to this long run line. And in this case, nothing's changed as far as our potential output goes. The only thing that's changed is we moved from, because remember this is price level, we've moved from a lower price level to a higher price level, but nothing has changed with output, right? So that's the idea, is that these variables can change, nominal prices can change, but it won't affect in the long run what our output is. Quantity theory of money is this equation that the amount of dollars in the economy, M, times the velocity of dollars is equal to the price level times the amount of output, if you want to say, in the economy. So the idea is that if money supply, M, goes up by 3%, then something's going to have to be balanced out, and that's just simply going to say that the price levels are going to increase by 3% to adjust for that, so that this identity holds here. One way to think about this is that the amount of money times the rate that money is being exchanged is equal to the nominal GDP. But if I divided both these things by P, so if I divided MV divided by the price levels, that's the amount of money divided out by the nominal value of those dollars, and converting to some sort of real sense, and that's just going to equal your real output, which is the actual value of goods and services. So that's one way to look at this identity here. So hopefully some of those problems helped you out. If you have any more questions, come see us in the Econ Tutoring Center.